Every single one of us have the ability to read people, read their true intentions, read what they actually want from you, even the ability to read and predict their future behavior. And it all boils down to one simple thing: what they are at their center. That's where everything comes out of, and that's what I'm going to take you through in detail in today's video. Now, in this video, not only are you going to learn how to read people, but you're going to understand what a spiritual awakening is at its core. Now, before I freak too many of you out with this esoteric concept, it's not about being esoteric and ethereal. So when I say spiritual awakening, and I'm including spirituality, it's not something you need to freak out about. I'm going to take you through it so it makes sense. In fact, that's what this channel is designed to do, to break down spiritual concepts and share them in a way that they actually make sense and are applicable in your life, to be understood from a logical place. So if you don't want to miss out on these spiritual concepts, where I break them down into digestible, understandable pieces that you can apply to better your life, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on, and you won't miss another upload. So in this video, I'm going to take you through all of this, which is going to help you understand why people do what they do, what their intentions are, what they're trying to achieve with their behavior, and how you can literally adapt your perspectives to understand what they're trying to do at their core. It's a really empowering thing to learn how to read people, and it's not so mystical like a lot of us think. So here is the practical breakdown. That's what I'm taking you through in today's video. So starting out with this true center, what is the true center? And this is the most spiritual part of this video. Everything after this is going to make logical sense to all of you. Everything we do in life is to feel better. It's actually for this centered goodness. That's why we do anything. The problem that happens is we start to look outward for it instead of inward. That is the whole spiritual awakening difference, is instead of moving outward through these walls to find fulfillment, we move inward. Let's just think about it in your scenario as an example. Anything you've ever done is to feel better. Anything you've ever said, any interaction you've ever had, anything in life is always to feel better. That's why we work hard. That's why we love deeply. That's why we serve others. It's all in service of that. And it's also why we hurt others when we're hurt. It's also why we lash out. It's also why we use anger in moments of unfairness. We are in pursuit of this fair, balanced life. If that resonates so far, if that's something you're like, oh shit, yes, we do things to feel a good way, then leave this video a like. I want to see how many of you are like, absolutely, I want to do things to feel better. So what happens is a lot of us don't know where we sit over here. And when we're uncertain about this, and this happens very young, when something happens to us that's not aligned with being fulfilled, with having things the way they're meant to be, is we develop our first fear. And these fears start to build up as a protective mechanism for this good feeling that is actually our core. So this fear wall becomes the protector, and we never really go on the inside of that. We stand on the outside of the fear wall. But that fear leads into so many other things all the way down the track that ruin our experience on life. It is the foundation and first level of our ego. And our ego is essentially our identity as a human being. All that we think we are. So this fear wall becomes the start of something we don't actually want to maintain in terms of what we experience. And so what fear does is it tells us we don't want to be in this scenario or that scenario, and we build this logic system of things that we can be scared of. And the way that we want to get out of being scared is we start to conjure up imaginative ideas, and those are our desires. We start to think that, well, I feel scared, I would really prefer this picture in my head, and then we dissociate with the picture. So those pictures become separate from us, and it becomes something we want. Now, when it becomes something we want to experience, when we start having desires and separating our identity from the things we want, we start to lower our frequency. What I actually mean by lowering these frequency levels isn't super esoteric. It's actually quite logical, and you can apply it right now. I'm referring to an emotional level. When you have a problem in your relationship, when you're angry, you can remember all the things your partner did wrong. But in that space of anger, you might say, I need to talk about this more regularly. And your partner might say, well, bring it up when I do it and I'll stop. But when you're happy, you don't even feel the need to speak about that. And you can't remember the things that upset you. You can't even remember them. And it's because on different frequencies, we recall different things. So when you are at a lower frequency of a lack of validation in yourself, you'll remember all the times that people didn't validate you. When you're feeling a high sense of self-worth, then what happens is you remember all the times that people supported you on your climb. So what I'm saying is we operate at those frequency levels. They're emotional states of being. So the more we separate our identity from the things we want, the more we say we want them and we aren't them, the lower we drop in this frequency expression. So the biggest catalyst for people's behavior is that bridge between desire and the outer identity. That desire creates things we want, and the outer identity will hopefully bring it to the true identity, which feels less. So this outer identity is the one that you get to experience. You want to read people, you're trying to understand this outer identity. That's the layer that we are trying to make sense of. And so these misunderstood behavioral patterns are what we see and can't make sense of. So we want to read people to understand what it's all about. So now that you have an understanding of what's all going on here, I'm going to show you how you can use it to read people. Understanding that their true center is a spiritual identity of peace and fulfillment, and they don't need anything. That they are actually fulfilled, and so are you. We can start to use people as a reflection, and that's one good way to start reading into people, and two, where their desires lie. And a lot of us do this in a sense to appease people's desires. We want to be what they want. And that's one of the intentions that you will be able to read, what people actually want from you. So the first and most important part is that this universe uses things, people, and places as a reflection to us so that we can find our true center. What it's trying to do is to get us back here. It's trying to shake us there, and the way it does that is by bringing a reflection of what we are. So our deepest insecurities and discomforts that we need to process to break down the fear wall and access our true center is what's going to be shown to us first. When we surrender fear, it upgrades and the universe shows us different things. But it will always be rooted in fear. The things that we attract will be rooted in fear until we break down that fear wall. Then we start to get a reflection of this true center. So in this fear wall that I'm speaking about, in getting this reflection of a fear wall, we cannot identify in others what we do not possess within ourselves. So if you're feeling in yourself a sense of sadness, a sense of longing for connection, then that will be the reflection shown to you through the people around you. They will be longing for a connection. And the thing that's making you struggle reading people to begin with is that you're not identifying in them the reflection. Because not a lot of us like to accept the not so nice parts. So it's a reflection of that deep self. It's a reflection of you. If we can start inviting the things that we are scared of, if we can allow this fear wall to not intimidate us, or we can say, fine, things that I'm scared of, come at me. We start to remove the hidden falseness that we don't want to experience. We start to get rid of the thing that we are scared of by inviting it to do its worst. And the way that it will show itself to you is through others and that reflection. And you'll realize, hold on, this person is feeling the same way I do. We meet people at the same frequency level that we are. So reading into them is reading into yourself. And when you start to go inward and say, I want to understand what I'm scared of and release that fear, that is how we start to read people. We start to understand their intentions because we are attracted at that frequency level. Our lives are actually driving with this purpose, to find that feel better energy. And because we meet each other on these same frequency levels, we know that they want what we want. It's always a good reflection of desire. When we see in people something that we know we want and we're connecting with them, it's that frequency that's buzzing. We might want to feel validated, and they will too. That will be the reflection. And this is how we can start to read into people, understand their intentions, and understand what they actually want and what the relationship or the interaction means to them. It's going to be a reflection of what it means to you. Now, this doesn't mean, you're going to run up to someone and be like, I've fallen madly in love with you, love at first sight, and you're going to make out with them and they're going to be happy with that. That's not how this works, but they might be seeking that too. So it's important to note that what you have to do in this situation is maintain authenticity to yourself, to still be true to who you are, to be true to what you stand for, what matters to you, what matters to serving the true center, not getting what you want. We have to be authentic. If we drop this authenticity, if we drop and ignore our true behavior for ourselves, we start to get a different reflection back. It starts to morph and distort what we are looking for. So important to note that. Maintain your authenticity. In this understanding of reading people, you still want to be your true self. You have to be your true self. It's actually how you get to deeper layers of understanding within you and fix certain parts of you that aren't allowing you to experience this true center of love, peace, and fulfillment. But this is how we start to read people, how we read into energy, how we read into things around us. Now, when it comes into work environments, for example, the fear wall is what's going to be the most activated. The fear wall keeps us behaving like we should for the main machine to keep working. So the fear wall is what's reflected to us in our work environment. In a social environment, it's desire. There's all these different layers. So on what frequency are we meeting them? On what level is it relevant to us? Because the earth is going to give us a reflection of that. If this has provided clarity, if this has given you some understanding, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to dive into more specifics with you in the comment section. So if there's something there you're like, wait, I want to understand then my scenario, put it in the comment section. I respond to each and every comment on every single video that I produce. So if you want to go take a look, you will see a response from me to everyone who's commented. And I'd love to dive into your specific discussion with you. Let me know down below. I'm looking forward to chatting to you, hopefully seeing your name pop up on my subscribers list, and I'll catch you on the next video. Mad love and light.